Welcome to Tell the Damn Story, the show that explores the many ways to navigate the successes and failures that aspiring and struggling writers face to make your journey that much easier.
Hey, Chris, how you holding up?
Alex, I didn't know the 401st episode of Tell the Damn Story would be this windy and cold.
Yeah, well,
Hello,
at least
Alex,
you're not
how are
getting
you?
shot at.
How we doing, bro? How we doing?
And oncoming trucks.
Try dodge.
Yeah. Woo,
You know
gotta
what?
be ready to move fast.
You know what? It would be a little good to warm the soul up with a little bit of.
Oh, yes, a little bit of literature on both our parts.
Yes.
Yeah, here we go.
This was given to me by my baby's sister. Yes.
Oh, and a sign of good taste. Wait a minute, what's on the bottom?
I don't know. You look.
Oh, okay, it just looks like it reflects.
That is clear glass,
Yes, it
revealing the
reflects.
lie that is Chris Ryan.
Yes,
He is
yes.
not drinking hot
Yes,
cocoa.
okay.
It's just water.
Good
Or
afternoon,
is it
everybody.
straight
Good evening.
vodka?
Yes.
We'll find out by the end of the episode.
Good,
Well, ladies and
good
gentlemen,
afternoon, good evening, good morning,
and
good, whatever
welcome.
it is that you are
Oh.
experiencing.
Welcome to Tell the Damn Story.
Right.
A little
Which
bit
is
of
what we do.
highfalutin because we're in weird times, ladies and gents.
Oh.
But we are here, wow, at episode 401, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
And can we share your plan?
Which plan? Have I got a
Alex's
plan? I have a plan?
is to record 500 episodes. So this is the last 100.
Yes. Yes. Because we already did the first 400.
Yes. And Alex, we have a topic today.
Yes, we do. We often
We have a
have,
topic.
but we have one today in particular.
Yes. Sometimes we say we have a topic and then we're wandering around, and that's part of the writing process, sure. But today we're kind of focused.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
We want to talk
Yes, we want to, and we're
about
going to.
subtext, what it is, and how to achieve it in your writing.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to do that by using some pop culture and some literature.
Yes.
And a friend of the show's award-winning series. As a matter of fact, the second book in this series has just got nominated for a couple of different awards.
Hot dog. But wait a minute, let's take a moment. The first one picked up?
I think it did. I think it won something. Sadly, I am ancient and cannot remember what it won.
But it's been
we will have
acknowledged.
to have this guy on soon to talk about
You
that
know,
whole
I
thing.
think
But I
we can-
remember
I
it
think we
was
can weather that.
nominated for 2 or 3 different awards, big awards. So yeah, get going with your bad self. And ladies and gentlemen, if you stay tuned, you'll find out which examples we're going to use, and we have some tips for you at the end.
That's right. That's right. Because
Right.
what else would the end be but without tips? You know,
That's
usually if
right.
you're leaving a restaurant, you leave a tip, you know.
So we are going to try and do this episode. There are very high winds outside, and we hope very much that this show doesn't get blown across the frozen tundra
yes.
that is America.
In more ways than one.
Yes.
Yeah.
And hey,
Well,
maybe
you
you're
know what?
watching this before the Super Bowl. Maybe you're watching after the Super Bowl. Did you see that play? That was
Maybe
an
you're
amazing
having a
play.
bowl of what soup.
Hey, man.
But here we go.
You
Let us
have a bowl. You
let
can
me
smoke a bowl.
yeah. Oh,
Whatever gets you in the
I
writing
was trying to
mood.
divert from. Okay, here we are. But here we are. Here we are. What kicked off this particular episode was I've been working with a number of students for a certain period of time, not as many years as my colleague here, but in screenwriting, and I noticed that a number of the writers focus very, very, very strongly, and I understand why. I'm not knocking them for it, but they focus so much on the plot and the action and getting the characters to move through this and this and this so that the climax hits and they have this conclusion and all. And then they wonder why, as they're trying to write the story and trying to make sense or reach the ending and something doesn't quite work, why the story feels a little empty, or the characters don't seem to make sense in certain moments, or they don't know what to say, or why they do what they do, all of these things. And so, in discussing some current films and a few classics, I began to discuss with them the subtext and themes and how those elements tend to factor in to making a more rich and full-bodied and full experience story. And of course, Chris has been talking about this sort of thing for many years, and to countless more students than I have dealt with in my time. So I would say, Chris, you should start off by presenting to us some of your wisdom about subtext and themes.
One of the more joyous moments in my senior English classes was when I introduced the concept of subtext. And I would say, subtext is what the story is about. And whatever we were reading. So what is the story about? And they would tell me the plot.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, that's what happens. The plot is what happens. And the subtext is what's happening underneath. What is it really about? And then I used to use the example of when things go wrong and you're in a position where you have to talk to your parents. We almost never go straight forward and tell them what the issue is, right? You need money. You go, hey, Mom, your hair's looking great. Thank you, dear. You're always the best, Mom, and I really appreciate being able to come to you and, just chat and hang out, maybe
I love
grab
your
some of your
pot
great
roast.
cooking.
Right,
Love
yeah, there
that
you go.
stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
And Mom's usually hip and they're like, what? And eventually you'll get around to it, right? But you're trying to, oh, God, my grades are pretty good. I've been working hard. What you really want is them to finance, senior break or something. You want to go where?
With who?
Cancun, my butt. Cannot coon. Okay?
Yeah.
That's it. Whatever it is. And in stories, it's just more pronounced, and I would get them started on the road to subtext by making it personal like that. A plot is what happens, and subtext is what's happening underneath, what's really going on.
And sometimes why what is happening is happening.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. Definitely.
Mhm.
So often the plot is driven or the story is driven as much by subtext as it is by the actual actions of the story. And I have a great example for it if you
Of
want
course
to.
you do, because you're Chris Ryan. You are, right?
Most times, yes.
Most. Okay.
Marvel Studios, right? MCU, and oh yeah, it's right here.
Yep,
My
there you go.
but more the MCU, right? Marvel Cinematic Universe and Marvel Television, more precisely, recently made an enormous discovery. And that discovery is that the show they didn't quite believe in, so they held it for a couple of years and then dumped all 8 episodes out just recently, thinking they'll get it done with and move on to the more important things. Yeah, well, that show became a hit, and it's called Wonder Man. And it's getting the best reviews that Marvel Television has gotten since like WandaVision. Now, I love a lot of the shows. I'm an old comic book guy, and I sit back and let them tell me the story. I remember when I was a kid, I would read like 25 comics a week, right? The 20 cents each. You get 25 for $5. Oh, what was that before paper? So I would just
The days of the covered wagons. Yes.
give me the story. Let me see what goes right and what goes wrong. I'm a student of both. So I loved a lot of the stuff that came out here, and I don't understand why there's so many haters about a lot of the stuff. You've got a remote. If you don't like it, move on. What the hell? It's not like you're having to trade one of your own children to watch a Marvel show, right? So relax a little bit. However, I wanted to see what they would do with Wonder Man. I love the actor who does that. I always mess up both of their names. You're going to let me do it because
I am, because you
you
didn't tell
like to
me you
see
were
me
going to
screw up
have
names.
practice.
I think it's no, I picked it up. Excuse me, I'll look it up. And Sir Ben Kingsley is the other one.
Yahya Abdul
Yeah,
Mateen the second.
yeah, Abdul Okeen the second. Yes.
Mateen.
And he'd been great in so many other things, and I want to see what he would do with this. And I thought it was fascinating to match him with Ben Kingsley. And it's a great fun show. And here's a great example of plot versus subtext, right? On the surface, the plot is yet another superhero origin story. This one, the person who's going to become a superhero is actually trying to be an actor. But the subtext of this show, I've got a few for you. Here are the subtexts, plural, that you can find in Wonder Man. It's about the value of friendship. It's about how our past haunts us until we deal with it and resolve whatever those old scars are. It's about Wonder Man hiding his enhanced abilities, which acts as a metaphor for the following. The artist in a non-artistic community. His family doesn't believe, his neighborhood doesn't believe in him. It's also a metaphor for alternate lifestyles. The life of an actor is so alien to a 9-to-5 working person. It's also a metaphor for alternate lifestyles, whether it's gender identity or sexual attraction, or continue on whichever direction you want.
Yeah. One from column A, one from column B. Yeah.
It's also a very strong metaphor about being of color in America and the pressure of you can't get at one thing wrong or they'll hold that against you forever. And it doesn't allow you to be yourself. And that's another subtext, the struggle to be who we really are, which leads us to the last of the subtexts that I'll take for this show, the value of getting out of our own way. Sometimes the things that we think we should be, or the things, how it should happen, how this, and it's expressed in so many different ways. He's a warrior. He overthinks things. He wants to plan something that will be spontaneous,
Which goes
and Sir
exactly
Ben
against the meaning of the
Kingsley
word.
has to say, if we plan it, it won't be spontaneous, right? And it's all those things. And all those things apply to the character of Wonder Man and the character of Trevor Slattery, who is performed by Sir Ben Kingsley. It's brilliant. And there's a great exercise for you if you have Disney. And I have it with commercials, so half the running time is commercials. God bless it. But you can watch and see the plot go by. But occasionally something will pop up and be like, that's one of the subtexts he was talking about. And you will see how it's done. It's done dialogue and action.
Absolutely.
It's what goes on while he's making other plans.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's one example to open us up, right?
Okay.
If you have questions, if you have comments about that, go ahead. Otherwise, Alex, do you have questions or
No,
comments?
actually, I don't have questions. I think it's wonderful.
Do you have an example that you might be able to
Yes,
offer?
I do.
Fine people. I see you.
I
see you
came
over
with
there.
my
You're
little
looking
bag
so
of tricks
fine.
too.
Look at you.
Yeah, here we go. So I'm gonna jump in the Wayback Machine, go all the way back to, because you were talking present day. Present day. Yeah, you were talking present day. I'm gonna jump back to 1957.
Of course you are.
12 Angry Men. A wonderful cast of 12 remarkable established character actors at that time. So it was a powerhouse. If you were a moviegoer in those days and you saw the names of at least 8 of the people on that cast list, you would go, "Oh, wow, he's going to be in it." Okay, so there you go. So the plot is 12 jurors, 12 men, because that's the way it was. 12 men are on a jury of a murder trial. The accused is a teenage boy who's accused of killing his father. Supposedly, there's all kinds of evidence that states that, yeah, he did it, and he's on trial. And we come in towards the end of all of the evidence has been presented. The judge is giving his summation and tell the jury, okay, now you have to go into that room and make a decision. And please understand that it must be unanimous one way or the other. He's either guilty or innocent. If he is found guilty, the penalty is death. This teenage boy will be put to death. That's it. There's no other answers. There's no other way out of this, right? And so the jury gets up and they go into the jury room to discuss this. Now, ostensibly, you're looking at this and you're thinking, okay, we're going to be watching a movie about maybe they're going to start to find clues and it's going to be like the mystery of unraveling whether or not he really did it and all this kind of stuff, and you're expecting that kind of a setup, but that's not what happens. What happens is these 12 men come into the room, they eventually sit down around the table, and the jury foreman, one of the men, says, well, okay, let's start out by, let's see if we can take a vote, see how we all feel, what we think he's guilty or innocent, because maybe this can be pretty quick. So he says, okay, fine, everybody, let's vote. All in favor of being guilty, and the hands start going up around the table. 11 hands go up. And then he says, oh, one person's sitting, his hand didn't go up. Says, innocent, that one person's hand goes up. And they're stunned. All the other people in the room are stunned. So it has to be unanimous, guilty or innocent, and now they've got 11 for and 1 against. So now you're thinking, okay, this is going to be about how they, again, maybe unravel this and figure out the crime and everything like that. And that's what you do kind of get as we move forward in this story. They do start looking at the evidence. That's the plot. But the actual subtext of the story is what average people bring, what baggage we carry, and how it influences how we think, how we see things, even when a crucial decision has to be made that involves life or death. And those things can be social status, place of origin, bigotry, ignorance, the manner of I'm in a hurry to do what I want to do and I don't want to be here. All of these things begin to rise up, and it becomes about, do people really stop and think about the responsibilities they have? Are they really looking at why they're thinking what they're thinking, what personal thing is moving them to do this, to do that? And so it becomes this character study as we are dealing with the fact that, yes, this boy is accused of murder, and if we all agree that he's guilty, he's going to die. So the subtext is exploring the human dynamics. And again, what kind of baggage do we bring, and what kind of people, average people, 12 a jury of your peers, 12 people come into this room, but they didn't come in purely to find justice or offer justice. They came in with a lot of other stuff on their minds and in their hearts, and that's impacting on the bigger decision. So that's remarkable subtext, because yeah, it could just be a straight crime mystery, but that's not what it is. That's really not what it's centrally about.
And there's never a flare sent up. This is subtext. It's the interaction, characters slamming against each other, having different opinions. And in those opinions, you start hearing prejudice. You start hearing assumptions. You start hearing who they are and what's really making them say this kid is guilty. And the one who says innocent, you start hearing what that person believes.
And we go even deeper.
You start to make your own judgments.
We go deeper with that, because he doesn't actually say, I believe the boy is innocent. He says, no, I don't know. The evidence, I have questions. And he wants to talk about it so that they can really examine what's been presented. So he's not even really going, yeah, I know the kid's innocent. It's like,
No, 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 no.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying that's another element of the story. Even the heroic figure, the heroic protagonist, isn't absolutely sure, but he needs to
And,
talk. He needs a communication.
and you start saying that that guy, in this case, because it's 12 Angry Men, a friend of the show, Cassine Gaines, has directed high school productions of 12 Angry Jurors,
Mm-hmm.
which allows them to mix and have a more diverse uh,
Mm-hmm.
jury and tell the exact same story.
Yep.
Because it doesn't matter the gender or the skin tone, everybody brings their own baggage,
There's
you
even a
know?
Russian version of this film called The 12.
Right,
And the plot behind that involves, let's just call it a terrorist attack, and one of the terrorists is caught, and it's
right.
that whole thing. So even taking the MacGuffin, if you will, the element of why we're here, and changing that slightly still gives you the same story. Who's
Right.
here and how are they going to affect what's going on? What did they bring to the table that's going to impact on this crucial decision?
And one of the good things about 12 Angry Men or 12 Angry Jurors is that there's a lot of access to that.
Yeah.
You can find it still. It stands up. It's very watchable. You can find probably several versions
Oh yeah,
online,
there's a videotape of the play that was done in front of cameras. There's the
Yeah,
57 version. There's a 1997 version. There's
yeah.
a Russian version. Who knows? Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
There you
you're
go.
right.
So yeah, again, it's worth taking a look at and watching it once to let the story roll over, and then watching it a second time, and just paying attention to how all these reveals and all this subtext rolls out. Same thing with Wonder Man. We watched it once and we were surprised by every twist and turn and how much of it wasn't sock'em rock'em pom pa,
Hmm.
and still very captivating. But having seen the whole thing, Glorious said the other day, let's give it another watch.
You got a good
And
one there.
yeah, God bless her. God
Yeah.
bless her. And because we knew the whole story, we could really see the subtext, and it's so well done. You
Hmm.
know, there's some betrayal and there's pressure and stuff that both sides are hiding. 12 Angry Men. There are some agendas aren't even conscious agendas. You don't realize, some of it would be seen these days as white privilege.
Hmm.
Um, the 1957 version didn't know that phraseology, but you can see it if you watch it
Well, you,
today.
you do you do get, and maybe we're getting deeper into this one than I thought we would, but I'll just quickly say that yeah, you get what they do there is they show the difference in lifestyles and how that impacts on how someone looks at, because you have a Wall Street
Mhm.
broker, you have an advertising agency man, you have a guy who's very blue collar, right? Carpentry, repair, that sort of thing.
Right,
You've got another guy who's a salesman, and the kind of salesman, like to come in there and buy you some beers, and so you've got a lot of diverse personalities and
right.
lifestyles, and they're all Caucasian men. They're all white men, but one's
Ah,
was
damn it.
born and
Don't
raised in Europe.
watch.
Yeah,
God, just white people.
yeah, yeah. One was born and raised in Europe and came to America some years before. So it's like really a diverse group of people who are looking at
Yeah,
this one circumstance. And even there, some of them came with an expectation or a belief
yeah.
or faith in what they're going to do or how it's going to be done, blah, blah, blah. So I think,
And
again,
if you really want to do this as an exercise, watch that one and then find some version of 12 Angry Jurors, and you can see the subtle differences in the rewrite and what baggage they bring. And you
yeah.
really will learn a lot about subtext.
Okay, I will end this one and we'll jump on your next example, but I'll end it by saying if you do what Chris is saying, which is fine, which is great, you could do it with the 57 version and the 1997 version. The reason why I say that is because the 57 version we've talked about. The 1997 version is a made for TV movie with a
Hmm.
big cast, but it's a diverse cast, Hispanic,
There you go.
Black, one is sort of an extreme Muslim kind of character. So again, you have that kind of diversity. I don't think there are any women in that
Right.
particular production.
Right.
But again,
Well,
a different group of people and slight rewrites. So yes,
the deeper you want to dive, the more
yeah,
you'll see subtext
yeah,
in that
exactly.
particular one.
What else
The
we
next
got
one
for us?
I'm going to go to, by its very nature, is a deep dive.
Okay, okay, go for it.
Now,
I got my
this
snorkel.
originally came out in print as a trilogy meant to be one novel. And then, oh, so many years later, became a multi-award-winning trilogy of very successful films. And I am, of course, talking about The Lord of the Rings. Before the movies were out, you would hear people referencing the trilogy of the rings. So The Lord of the Rings, on the surface, it was a fantasy novel recreation of J.R.R. Tolkien's World War I experiences.
Mm-hmm. It's a
It
soldier.
helped him get his humanity back after what he experienced. There's a great movie. It was quiet, didn't make a big splash. Some would say it's a B movie, but it's really intriguing. It's called Tolkien. And you see him as a young person, and you see him, everything's going his way, and then the war breaks out, and he winds up in the war.
World
And
War
when he
One, by the
comes,
way.
World War One, as
Yeah.
I said, and when he comes back, a lot of us, what you experience, it haunts you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he experienced that war was hellish, and because his imagination worked the way it did, it began to be what becomes the Lord of the Rings. So that's the surface, right? Is his recreation of World War One as a fantasy to work out all of this, right? Plot wise, diverse group of characters set off on an epic journey to destroy the ultimate evil. But the subtexts, plural,
Yes.
is so rich. So I have a few. One of the big subtexts in The Lord of the Rings, both versions, is how even the least of us have a part to play in world events.
Mm.
Now, the characters that carry that subtext are, of course, the hobbits, right? And there's Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin. And you can find YouTube videos and social media videos where a wonderful young lady argues individually how each one of them, whether it's in the books or the movies, because they're kind of represented different in the movies than they are in the books, how each of them do things, sometimes successes, sometimes failures, mostly valiant, that contribute to how this epic journey ends.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that, underscores that subtext. That we must not hide from what we are called to do. And that is the subtext of Aragorn's storyline, his story arc. Right? Aragorn is introduced to us as Strider, some ranger, some kind of a
Warrior,
person
soldier type.
out in the
Yeah.
wilderness, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And slowly we find out that he's a warrior, and slowly we find out he is the heir to the shamed king of men, who had the ring and could have destroyed it and became selfish. And this shame gets in the way of the greatness of who he is. But everything that he does shows us the greatness. Even something as small as in the movie, Merry and Pippin are wondering about whether when they would ever eat again. Because he had said, we already had your breakfast. And Mary says, does he not know about second breakfast? Snacksies or whatever all the other lines are. And all the Lord of the Rings fans, they're like, he doesn't know. He's an infidel. But you know the lines. Write them in the comments. But then Aragorn throws an apple over his shoulder to them. so that they can eat something. It's little kindnesses like that show us his regal bearing. So that's his thing. Prejudice is silly in the grand scheme of things, because in this adventure, elves and dwarves, who are mortal enemies, are thrown together with men who both sides think are absolutely useless because of what Aragorn's great-grandfather or grandfather did. So against ultimate evil, all of those silly prejudices fall away.
Mm.
And friendships, true friendships, build up because your lives are in each other's hands. And in this world, that is more true than too many of us want to admit.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
there you go.
Hallelujah.
Addiction shatters lives. And you might be like, Lord of the Rings, there's nobody using drugs.
Oh,
Gollum.
really?
Yeah, Gollum, the ring. He is addicted to the ring. And to a lesser extent, medium extent, Bilbo. And then to a lesser extent, Frodo. And even he gets so addicted to the ring that he fails when the true test happens. Spoilers, you'll see what happens. Go and read the book
Yeah.
and then watch the movies or
Yeah,
both.
right. In that order. Yeah.
Yes. Only by working together can we defeat evil. They are separated. But it's when they all push towards the same goal that their very disparate actions lead to the ending that we see. I think there's one more, and then I have a last comment. And when we do work together, a small group of people that stays true to their beliefs can have a profound effect. So all of those are subtexts that no one gets up on a soapbox and says, yes, this is the lesson, but they're all there. And this is my final comment on Lord of the Rings. There are so many more examples of subtext in this classic piece of literature that were successfully transposed to this classic film trilogy. So as another great source for you in your study of how subtext works. The more you look at something, the more you'll be able to pick out subtext, and the more you'll be able to say, oh, that's how it's done. Right? That one of the great lessons of trying to be a screenwriter or a writer, it works really easy with film. Find the genre you love and watch 2, 3, 4, 5 classics, but then watch 10 bombs. The worse the movie is in that genre, the more you'll learn. Once you've seen a couple of really classic films that work, when you see the lesser ones, you'll learn why it doesn't work. And those two pieces of information create a synergy, and you'll understand how subtext works, how plot works, how story works. Sir, I have been to Mordor and back.
Yes, you are.
Feel free to comment or to move us forward.
Well,
What shall you do, sir?
I'm going to make a comment and then move us forward. One, we had
8
originally talked
comments?
about doing 3 each, but I think we've been got so much out of the first 2 that
We've
I
made our
think-
point.
Excuse me?
We've made our point.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say that I'm going to do one more, and I think, yeah, we've made our point. I think
Yeah,
absolutely.
then. Roll
And
it.
the other thing is, Chris did Wonder Man, and Chris did Lord of the Rings, which is wonderful. And I did a classic 12 Angry Men via my Wayback Machine. So I thought, why not keep this rhythm going? So I'm going to skip the one that I was thinking of doing because I'm going to do this other one, which allows me to jump back into the Wayback Machine. And we've got classics right? Contemporary and classics, and they both do a wonderful job. Rashomon.
You know what? I have, before you go in.
Oh, I announced it here. Well, I'm going to say
No, you almost
Rashomon.
did. Yeah.
Rashomon.
Oh,
Okay,
see,
go ahead.
now you've announced it. It could have
Yes.
sounded like wash your hands. We didn't know where you were going.
Yeah.
But all I wanted to say was, ladies and gentlemen, I know for years you have been witnessing the Alex Simmons Wayback Machine. It was today in the green room that I finally learned what shape his Wayback Machine is in. It is in the form of a 1968 Mustang. That makes the Wayback Machine much cooler, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
now, let's
Yes.
drive with Alex.
Yeah. Back to the Future had the DeLorean. I have a Mustang. There you
That's
go.
right. 68 Mustang,
Yeah,
baby.
68,
Mm.
1968, black. Okay, Rashomon, which is a wonderful film that was made back in the 50s. And again, I'm going to just describe it lightly because if you haven't seen it, you'll find it and be prepared. But it's a Japanese film, and the premise of it is that it's a trial. It's a trial that we're going to witness because a highwayman, a bandit, and this takes place in Japan, a bandit in old Japan on the road attacked a couple. Let's just say they were well dressed, maybe wealthy or not. It's not really established, but they were of substance, right? He attacks his husband and wife couple. And in the melee, he kills the husband and rapes the wife. Now, the story of this attack is being told by a man who was at the trial. So he's telling two other men that he's met about this trial. And at the trial, the bandit is on trial for murder and for rape. So the wife gets to testify. A witness who saw some of it gets to testify. The bandit gets to testify. And the dead husband gets to testify. That's right. Each one of them tells of the exact same incident, but as they saw it, or so they say. And it's different in certain ways depending on who's telling the story. Now, one could go, well, is it a supernatural tale because the dead husband comes back? How does he do that? He's dead, right? Well, or is it a story about, abuse or rape or what, or murder? What is this? Well, on the surface, again, you have this bizarre situation. Someone was attacked, someone was killed, there's a trial, and we got to find out who done it and make this person pay. But ultimately, the subtext of the story is what can you believe? Because every person who experiences something sees it through their eyes and their experience. And again, like with 12 Angry Men, where they come from in life, how they feel about things, also is an influence. So suddenly, the wife tells the story, and she tells it from the point of view that the husband was a wuss, didn't really defend her. Yeah, he got killed and she was abused, assaulted, but she held her moral ground and she dealt with it, right? So she comes through and somewhat heroically. The bandit tells the story that, yeah, he attacked them. The husband attacked him, otherwise, he wouldn't have killed him. And the wife practically fell into his arms. She was taken by his manliness and his mastery, right? The husband tells the story that he defended his wife's honor, who was flaunting herself at the bandit, and in his attempt to defend her, he gets killed. So as the story continues to move on, we're going, well, who's telling the truth? Because and it's really about who are these people? Where are they coming from as individuals? Where are they coming from in their heads? What is it? What is truth? So again, story of a crime, an atrocious crime, and all of this in old Japan, blah, 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 blah. But it's really about what do we believe? And this story was created, was written, and filmed after World War II. So there are metaphors in there about loss, about extreme loss, and trying to recover from that. And what can we believe in at this point? What does the future even hold for us? What do we believe in? What is truth now? So again, you can take a superhero character, you can take fantasy sword and sorcery characters with dragons and ghosts and all that. You can do 12 average individuals thrown into a room to discuss an extremely important end product or end result. Or you can have this situation where you have people who theoretically are average individuals, including the undead, and again ask subtextual questions
You mean
that
the
explore.
undead or the dead?
He's dead, but he's talking, so
Right. Okay.
really, I mean, he doesn't look like a
Some people
corpse.
just won't shut up,
Yeah,
Alex.
right. Yeah, the guy just won't go, right? Yeah. But again, the whole thing is again, we're talking about exploring the human condition. Who are we? What do we believe in? What are we afraid of? What are we willing to do? What's been in our past? What's possible in our future? All of these things you can explore through whatever genre, with whatever kind of plot that you're putting on top, if you really explore the individuals and the theme in the subtext.
That is true. Well done, Alex. Well done.
Well, shucks, fella.
Yeah.
We
Well,
speak here.
it's interesting that it's such an old movie and that the themes in this are so relevant today. I mean,
Yeah.
that classic movies, classic books, classic stories will do that. You'll
Well,
find, oh, that kind of resonates with whatever's going on.
thank you for saying that because I can throw this
Ten
other thing
bucks.
out there. Recently, I came across a clip. You guys can find it on YouTube or on possibly TikTok even. The wonderful British actor Ian McKellen was on
Sure.
Colbert's show
Oh,
not
yeah.
that
What a
long
great
ago.
performance. Yeah.
Yes, yes, and he does this piece, this monologue about, as he sets it up. I'm going to just condense this. He sets it up by saying there were people on the street, this mob on the street, and they were basically ranting and angry about the strangers who were filling in London, who were coming to London. And of course, they were talking about the immigrants, right? And that's where I came in. As I heard that line, I went, "Oh God, there's another riot. There's a big protest in London against immigrants." And then he proceeds to say that he says a couple of other things. He says, and they sent a lawyer out, and I'm going, "What?" And then I realize he's talking about a piece that was written by William Shakespeare 400 years ago about, again, a mob of people who wanted to attack, kill, or send immigrants out of London and back to wherever they came from, quote unquote, and take their properties and whatever they have here in London, take that as their own now because, we don't want those people here. And as he's doing this piece, which is so beautifully written, again, Shakespearean, so it plays with wonderful wording, literally I could hear similar lines coming off of the front pages or off of the newscast right now. I mean, it's just 400 years and we're still there.
I would add to that about that. And by the way, I just sent you the clip. So if you want to put the link in
Oh,
our
good.
notes, it's
Okay.
possible. You don't have to know the Shakespeare piece. You don't even have to know how to hear Shakespeare. You just have to listen to Sir Ian McKellen
Yeah.
because the nuance of his tones in his performance tell you all the subtext.
Mm-hmm. And it's not a clip
Brilliant,
from a
brilliant.
movie or something of him doing it. He gets up from his guest chair and steps down and proceeds to give us that piece. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wow.
Yeah.
Well worth it, and hopefully we'll be able to put it on the notes. But I just Googled it, I just searched for it on YouTube. In the time that you were talking, it took me about two of your sentences to find it. It's right there. So,
Yeah. And they
Ian
weren't very long
McKellen,
sentences, huh?
yeah, there you go. Sir Ian McKellen on Colbert, Shakespeare, bang, boom. There you go.
Yes.
So
So,
we had promised,
subtext. Yeah, go ahead.
if you waited around this long, we would tell you a couple of bits of advice about how you can do it, how you can get your subtext working in your story. The first bit of advice that I would say is that don't worry about subtext in the first draft. Just tell the damn story. Just get it out there, get the whole thing done. Don't go back and say, well, I'm going to put subtext in this. Just go the whole, let it be sloppy. Let it be, this doesn't work. It needs this scene. That's what a first draft does. And then embrace the idea of rewrite. That's part of the art. That's not, I'm correcting errors. That's where you go back and you look at what you've written and you'll start making discoveries. So many people say, I don't know what my story is about until after I've written it and go back for the second draft. Then I start really, wow, I'm really talking about boom, boom. And then once you see that and make that discovery, first you'll feel great about yourself. But second, you'll go back and say, that's fantastic. But if in the third chapter, I were to just change this little bit, it would set that up better. And that's called seeding. It's not cheating, it's seeding. You're planting the seeds that will flower with moments later in the story. You know, some people call it payoffs. This is part of the art of storytelling. Embrace the rewrite. Let the first draft suck, let it suck, get the story out, and then go, and then you start playing, and you see what's really in there, and you can polish it up. And that's where subtext starts becoming beautiful art.
And I would add to that in brief, because again, we've done the work. Quite often, subtext is the why. Why are my characters doing what they're doing? What is it that's motivating them? And again, motivation. You know, why does the girl willingly do such and such? Why does the guy willingly? Why does Sam fight a giant spider in the end? Why? Something's driving us. Something's inspiring. Something is haunting. And as we look for those things and begin to work those things out, we develop the stronger base, a stronger subtext, which then supports the plot and the greater story. And on that note,
sometimes characters don't even know.
That's right.
You know, in Wonder Man doesn't know, and Trevor Flaherty knows. So you can see how both of those work.
And I was also going to say that in the end of your stories, there's no guarantee that your characters figured everything out by the end.
No, and that's legit.
Yeah, the subtext is the journey. The subtext is the journey. All right, and again, to hold our interest, to build suspense, and all that other stuff, take us on that wonderful journey. Chris, thank you. Anything you want to say in parting?
Stay warm, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, because look where he is.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And go watch some stuff, read some stuff, fill yourself up. You know, see how other people do it. And then when you feel it in your heart, you feel your own story and you let it cook for a while. Then go and tell your own damn story. We need it. We want it. We gotta have it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Till next week.
Everybody.
401 in the books.
Take care, Chris.
Peace. Love you, brother.